Well, it's been a quiet week here in Lake Scabagon, my hometown. Today's episode, they talk about taking Brock to Furnace Fest, discuss a Pickle Home Companion mindset. Jeff Fortson from Squad 50 talks about what it was like teaching on Zoom during the pandemic, and why Jaws is a Christmas movie in his house.
Oh, all right. Time for the Brockless podcast.
Yes, welcome to that. This is what we call the Brockless podcast, where we can talk
that guy out of here
about that guy.
Freedom.
It's just a stepping stone.
We have a very special replacement Brock for this episode. It's Jeff Fortson from Squad 50.
Let's go.
So I don't know if there's a Facebook group about like 90s CCM music.
Yeah.
And Brock posts his album, like he posts
Every
album
day.
anniversaries like every day or whatever when they come up. He's been doing this for years, and so he came to Furnace. We all went to Furnace Fest this past year, and Brock went for 5-iron, not for hardcore bands. He went for the ska band.
Yeah, ask him if he knows a hardcore band. He doesn't.
And dude was a celebrity there. So many people came up to talk to him because of his albums. Like he's
That's
like
awesome.
been consistent for a long time in these internet groups, and Furnace Fest is kind of that place where like traditional hardcore kids are there, but then there's a lot of youth group kids there too.
Yeah.
You know, like it's where it all comes together. And so
They're going to see 5-iron. They're going to see all the other bands too.
Yeah.
it's the only place that you can like, Hate Breed and 5-iron are both equally like celebrated probably.
The beauty of it.
But yeah, the whole weekend, just everybody kept like, dude, Brock, can I get my picture with you? Like, it was so crazy.
It was wild.
Celebrity.
So ever since, it's like, and he just went because he was going to go see 5-iron, and we had, and we were going. So he's like, I'll come along. Yeah, sure. And we had no idea what we were getting into when he got there. I mean, we kept getting stopped, and he's like, all right, no, you guys go ahead. I'm going to go talk to these guys. No, you guys go ahead. So he's like, there's albums upon albums of selfies with Brock, and it was amazing.
That's phenomenal, man. Brock, man. Trendset.
Yeah. So we call it that we're just a stepping stone for him in his podcasting and life endeavors. So that's why we're just stepping stones.
Yep.
And that was we originated this whole thing as like a companion to Joe and Reese's podcast. And so we came up with the whole Pickle Home Companion thing, like Prairie Home Companion. So that's where Brock's sign off comes from.
Yeah.
Of like,
Yeah.
we ripped that off, and
That's awesome.
yeah,
How do all you guys know each other? Just from
the internet.
the interwebs? Yeah.
Probably Furnace Fest and the internet.
Okay.
Well, and actually this podcast, the Pickle and Boot Shop.
Yeah.
There's a discussion page on Facebook with Joe and Reese's podcast. So I think initially that's where we all connected.
Yeah.
And then like I would DM with Brock about vinyl on Instagram, like it led to that, like you're following each other on Instagram or whatever.
Right.
And then the three of us went to Furnace Fest 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And met in person.
When the Insiders
and then Brock
played.
came. Yeah, when the Insiders were there.
Yeah.
And then Brock came this year, but we started the podcast before that, just kind of through the internet. Yeah, random.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We would just start talking and go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Yeah. So like basically we were just like, hey, we want to kind of hang out. So like we would just start doing like Zoom calls. And then we were like, we should just record this and just put it out as a podcast. Because, we would just kind of sort of like talk about what we liked about in Pickle and Boot Shop, and then just kind of shooting the shit about whatever. And then it's just kind of evolved into this, like,
It has evolved.
hey, yeah. So we're like, hey, it would be kind of cool. Like, what if we just see if like Jason from Unoriginal Vinyl wants to come hang out, on Zoom? And so we're like, hey, you want to come on? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come on.
Yep.
So just kind of just shooting out like random, who would be fun to hang out with for like a couple hours on Zoom and just kind of like screw around,
That's awesome.
and just tell crazy stories. I think we've called it like the ADD happy hour occasionally. Yeah.
It's fun. You guys have a good rapport. I like it. It was a lot of fun to talk.
Appreciate it.
Like, yeah. Sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. I think you guys got a good thing going. It's one of the more enjoyable and fun podcasts I've ever gotten to be a part of, for sure. And I'm not just saying that.
Oh no, I appreciate. Yeah.
Only true statements are made on this podcast.
Only
so we
true.
believe you.
Yeah. I mean, and that's our whole thing is we just want to hang out. We don't, you go on another podcast. I know Kevin says this all the time is that you're going to go on another podcast. So when your band started in the 1900s, what was going through your brain?
Right.
But we just want to hang out. So if we talk about your band, we talk about your band. But if we talk about, Hefe's stories, it's even better.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we talk about flags for 20 minutes for God knows what.
I was like, are we on Big Bang Theory right now for
Right.
flags?
We went deep on that flag talk,
A
man.
lot of flag talk.
I saved them all.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We found out that like our mutual connection is the music, and so like folks
Right.
like
Yeah.
yourself that we all like fans of and all this, but there's no point rehashing you've told people your story.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we don't want to ask you your question you've been asked countless
It'll
times.
come up, but you'll bring
And
it,
I
Yeah.
think we're more interested in like you're a Spanish teacher now. That's cool. Like that's
Yeah.
interesting now because we know who you are public, like from the interviews
Right.
as a band member. But like, let's talk to the Spanish teacher now who has this past experience is really cool.
That's awesome. Well,
Because we were like brainstorming. We're like, okay, Jeff's a teacher. Travis from Piebald was a teacher for a bit. Like all these other,
Some of the stretch guys or at least
Yeah.
one's a
yeah,
teacher.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Eric
Joe wants
Ballmer
to be a
from Plank Guy is a teacher now, like a high school teacher. He was a college professor. Aaron Weiss is a college
Aaron
professor.
Weiss,
Like,
yeah.
there's just so many teachers. It was like,
Yeah.
these former music, and so I'm glad you brought it up because we were going to ask you of like, is there a performance aspect? Because I felt like they're connected, particularly maybe for frontmen. Maybe it's different being like the guy in the front versus
Yeah,
maybe
maybe.
no offense, Kevin, maybe the bassist doesn't feel the same performance need in the front of the
Right,
room,
right.
unless they're particularly boisterous bassist. But like I can imagine that the first couple of weeks of class are like being the opener in a room who didn't come to see you, and it's like, how do I get these people to pay attention to
Yeah.
me when they, like you said, they have to take a required class.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily there for the content. They're there because they have to.
Yeah.
I would think they're linked of like, how did you win over a room that was there to see the people after you early on?
Yeah, I definitely think there's some type of connection between those two things. I mean, because it is like you're winning over an audience. You're building a rapport. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's to me, that's the most important. Like the teaching part get done, but we have to build a rapport. And I always say we have to build a culture.
Mm.
Like and every class I teach, like I have 5 different blocks, right? So every class I teach
Wow.
has a different culture per se,
Mhm.
like or sometimes I call them personalities because like the collective personality of the class becomes a very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the teacher, the students, and then there's this like personality that the whole class has, where all the individual personalities combine and make this new thing that is the sum of all its parts, and so that's always really interesting because like, something I say in one class, they might die laughing at. And then I might say a version of that same thing in another class, and it's just dead, dead silent. I'm like, oh,
Right.
2A, block 2A is not a big fan of the
Mhm.
joke. But it's like, you sort of learn the personality. You also learn different kids' personalities. Like some kids will thrive in the spotlight, like all the theater majors, like they want the spotlight, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
like the visual art major doesn't always want the spotlight on them. So like you got to kind of learn that about your kids too. Like, who can you, really razz, and then who can you just like, kind of leave them alone, let them do their thing because they don't want the attention, they don't want that attention on them. But I don't know, man. I love it for right now. So as long as I feel like it still sort of comes naturally, it doesn't always feel like work. A lot of days it just feels like I'm going to get paid to hang out and transfer some knowledge. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of fun. Most days. Some days it's a grind, but most days it's kind of fun.
Mhm.
I think my phone it's at 6%.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
you're
don't know
good.
how much we can go longer if you guys want to. I just need to go find a power source to plug
That's
up
really
real
up to
quick.
you, I think.
Yeah, it's up to you. So
Hold on,
Yeah.
let's take a tour.
All right.
sure.
I am digging the Thrasher's toque though. That's
Oh yeah, thanks.
yeah,
We don't
yeah.
say toque in the South. I
That's why I
explained this
wanted
to
to say
these
it.
guys.
That's why I wanted to say it. I'm sorry, the Thrasher's toboggan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or a beanie.
I don't know what the heck.
We call it beanie.
Yeah. Well, I've heard down south that there's also a toboggan, and I'm like, you don't call a hat a toboggan?
No.
That's a sled.
That's a sled.
Absolutely
Yeah.
do. There's snow talk around here for Friday, guys.
Yeah, here
Green
too.
Meat Giant Records
Here
called
too.
Noggin Toboggan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, noggin
Remember
toboggan.
Yeah.
They're from California, though, I think. I'm not sure.
I've got one of their albums.
Noggin Toboggan. Sorry, this silhouette.
Oh, that's all right. I
Just had a
appreciate the tour.
venture into the household where everyone's sleeping. Now I'm back in the garage.
Okay.
Yeah, turned our garage into a lovely family room.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, years ago. So this is kind of where you can close yourself off and be quieter.
Whose music room is in the documentary with like the guitar and the?
Oh, that's Chris Klein's. Yeah,
Okay.
he's got the setup, bro.
Gotcha.
Chris's basement is yeah, it's awesome. His whole house is just full of instruments, man. Like all
Really?
over. Yeah. He for sure I think was the most and still is the most musically gifted of all of us. Like he doesn't just hear like guitar parts, like he hears entire songs.
Hmm.
You know, like he hears all the instruments and what they should be doing. Yeah, Chris is awesome, man. We call him Snake sometimes. That's his nickname.
Brock is texting us flags now.
He's the one that keeps coming up with new material. Is that right or no?
Yeah. I would say
Yeah.
like most of the newer stuff, Chris is the originator of. Although writing the songs for the last squad thing we did, like it really just started because of the pandemic. We were all talking via Zoom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just said, hey, we could probably write some songs. We've got some time on our hands, and like we basically just did it over Zoom. And some of it was like old stuff that didn't get finished from back when Squad was writing for Late News Breaking.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of it was like Chris would just come up with an idea and John would come up with like maybe the bridge or the chorus. And we just sort of fleshed them out over the Zoom conversation.
Sure.
And then I spent like a week at the beach and just wrote lyrics every night. Then we recorded. It was kind of fun.
Well, that's the way to do it.
Kind of pure.
Yeah.
Kind of pure,
Yeah. Do you guys want to do more?
Yeah, I would love to, actually. It seems like it would be sort of easy to do more now that Chris is in Florida and him and John live like 10 minutes apart from each other, maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, I think in the future we will. Like Chris has several musical projects going on, so he has an outlet for all that, because he'll write stuff that clearly like not like squad stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think in the future I would love to do more stuff like that because that was sort of what inspired us to do Solid Gold was that, we basically just rented a beach house and turned one of the bedrooms into a studio, like
Nice.
Cool.
because he had the whole Pro Tools rig and everything right there. And it was actually a little unorthodox the way we did it because like we did vocals and bass before anything else because John and I was about to go back to school and John, could only get a certain amount of time off of work. And so we sort of like met, fleshed everything out like together, like played it together in person,
Mhm.
and then laid down scratch guitars and the scratch bass. And Chris had played some drums back at his place, so we used like a scratch drum thing. And we did the vocals, and then we did the bass, and then later on, Chris put all the guitars down, and I think the drums might have been the last thing we did, which is very unorthodox.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
that is like
Usually you start with the drums,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But fortunately with Pro Tools, you can kind of line it up.
Yeah.
I think Chris basically said he would never do it that way again because it was kind of a pain in the ass to get the drums lined up.
Right.
Sure.
But he made it work, man. He worked a little magic on it. Those are some of my more favorite songs that we've recorded. It was just a lot of fun, and I felt like they were actually good songs. I of all of our stuff, I
Mhm.
think Solid Gold's the one I listen to the most. But maybe that's just because there was nothing really tied to it. It was just three dudes having a bunch of fun
Yeah.
coming up with songs.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's kind of cool about like the way that technology has kind of progressed is, you can like right now, we're all across the country
Yeah.
and we're putting this together and, once we finish, I'll do some editing and boom, it's done. And it's like
Yeah.
music wise, we can do the same thing now. It's
Mhm.
Right.
not that it'll happen, but like if my brother and I wanted to do something, like we could record something here at my house and then work with the guys from the band up in Maine and put out a new song or something like that. But
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of the better parts of modern technology, right? Like, because I
yeah,
think a lot of times, like some things, like some social media and things can sort of isolate you where you're ignoring what's going on around you
yep,
because you're focused on this thing in your hand and you're just constantly scrolling. But when it can be
Mhm.
used for things like this, like I think it's pretty phenomenal. Or when school shut down because of the pandemic,
Mhm.
hmm
well, I was still able to connect with kids via Zoom or whatever we might have been using at the time. I mean, it was kind of cool that like it wasn't a total loss. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Sure.
I'm not an
right,
online teacher, and I
It
pretty
was
much
not
hated
perfect.
online teaching. Yeah, I
It
pretty much
sucked.
hated
right,
online teaching, but at least it wasn't a
It was
total loss.
possible.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least we
yeah,
could still connect, and I ended up turning my online class. It was almost like a late night talk show. Like I had bits and like there's like whole sections to my presentation, like like joke of the day and just different sections that I'd bring in, like interesting fact, and I had different slides, and I created on Google Slides I created a whole virtual classroom
hmm
that actually like we could all like I felt like it took us somewhere. So
That's
instead of
cool.
kids like looking at me like you guys are looking at me with all this stuff behind me, they were looking at this virtual classroom I'd created, which had like a little Bitmoji version of me that we called Jefecito. And he was always up to no good. And like I would animate him and he would always
yeah,
I don't know, it's hard. It's my wife is like, you're way too into this. I'm like, it's the only part that I enjoy. Like I hate being online,
Yeah.
but at least if I can
right,
like do
Yeah.
something ridiculous like this, it's more than just me staring at a bunch of boxes. Like, because most of the kids won't even turn their cameras on. It would just be their name.
yeah,
Right.
Right.
And but at least I know they're there, and even if they're not looking at me, they're looking at this virtual world I created, and kids would tell me that like their parents would like stop and watch my because it was only 30-minute
right.
classes, so it's like a really quick shot, and their parents would actually stop and watch my 30 minutes
Awesome.
because they're like, it's like watching it like a show. Like, yeah, it's like I'm trying to stay sane. It's me alone in a classroom
Right.
talking to a bunch of like black boxes with names.
Right.
And honestly, like if you think about it, like all those online classes, like it was such like an I know most kids just absolutely hated it. Like
Yeah,
around here, there was constantly like people wouldn't even like log in to like the
yeah,
online classes and stuff like that. I see what you're doing there, Pete. um,
Yes.
to have something like that where it's something different, it's entertaining. Like I'm sure that was memorable to them, and like they'll probably remember that, or
Right.
like even like subconsciously they might pick up more because oh, this is kind of fun. Like they might remember it.
yeah. I mean, it was what it was, and
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I guess there's just something inside of me that always like this situation sucks, or if I'm in a sucky situation, I'm always looking for divine inspiration.
Right.
And and that's what came to me. I was like, oh,
hmm
we'll just do this and at least it will be something like I need to be engaged too.
Right.
Like that's like a lot of I do lecture in class because when you go to college, you have to learn to sit through lectures and you have to learn
Yep.
to
hmm
take notes and
hmm
that stuff's important. But a lot of my class is also like interactive. Like we didn't even start doing anything Spanish wise today until after in a 90-minute block, it's a lot of time to fill anyway. But for the first 30 minutes, all I did was like okay, hey guys, I haven't seen you since last year. What's happened? And I
Hmm.
just some classes be like two kids would be like, yeah, I went to New York. I'm like, okay, and we'll talk about that. And then some classes would be like 16 kids with their hands up. I did this and we did that. And you just like, I feel like that lets them feel like they're involved in the process, you
Right.
know? Like,
Right.
am I teaching Spanish at that moment? No. But do I need 90 minutes to do what we're going to do every class? No. Some classes I need all 90 minutes, but not every class. But I can spend part of that I don't need necessarily for instruction. I can spend that time building that rapport, building that culture, having kids feel like they have some ownership in what's going on. And, I tried to redo that. I tried to create that online as well. I am so glad kids are back. And this is the first year I feel like kids like they know how to be in a classroom again.
Hmm.
Mm.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
Mhm.
we've left the COVID years behind. Because I don't know, every school district did a little bit different, but ours, we lost half a year. We just never came back from spring break in 2020.
Mhm.
Then when we back to school in the fall, we were completely online. Then we went from that to like a hybrid where if you wanted to come back, you could,
Mhm.
but you could
Yeah.
also but even the kids that came back, I didn't even look at them. I would like be looking at my screen like this. They'd be sitting behind me, like watching me on a screen on a computer. It was like the most surreal
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
While we taught the
Right.
other kids who chose to stay home. So I was still teaching online. There was just some kids were learning online behind me instead of in their bedroom. And
Hmm.
every once
Oh
in a while, I'd be like,
wow.
"Hey, everybody, wave!" Like turn the
Right.
camera so everyone could wave. And
Wow.
then the year after that, we came back, but we were in mask all the way till March, and
Mhm.
then the next year was like normal, and the year after that was normal. But this is like the first year where like I feel like kids are like, okay, I know how to be in a classroom again. Like the quality of work, the amount of effort, the overall social interaction has just been like way up this year. And I
That's
think
great.
maybe it's just because we've sort of gotten over that hangover
I
that
agree.
we
It's
made.
the same
Yeah,
on a college campus, like dealing with college
yeah,
students who spent so much time not not doing a whole lot, and then
yeah,
getting to us and expecting like accommodations to everything, like, oh, deadlines don't matter anymore. Like,
Right.
because I mean, it was the necessary way to be when it all happened so fast, and like people weren't
yeah.
prepared. None of us were ready for that, and like our youngest started kindergarten online,
Oh,
which was a nightmare. So my wife and our college campus went back in person with all these requirements and distancing and masks. So my wife, we both worked on campus at the time, and we would like take shifts. I would go on campus in the morning because I did student meetings, and she would go campus in and athletes are in practice in the afternoon. So I don't meet with students in the afternoon. Um, and so we had our desk, which I have now upstairs, was in our bedroom, and then we had a little table right next to it for our daughter in kindergarten with an iPad. But kindergartners can't read. So,
yeah,
Oh man.
and like
Yeah.
kudos to you for putting all that work into teaching because I like it was one of those I knew it was terrible. It wasn't good. No one enjoyed it, but I wasn't ever mad at a teacher. I'm like, no one asked for
right.
this. No one's prepared for this. Like, it just sucks. There's nothing
Yeah.
fun. Like, it's just what it is. We got to deal with it. But for a kindergartner, our fifth grader was in her room, was like, God, I hope she's doing her work because like I can't keep
Mm.
my eyes on
Right.
two of them.
Yeah.
And we would get homework assignments, and you're like, you have to read every step out loud to a kindergartner. Like you have to do it with, not
Oh,
do it with them, but you have to be with
Mhm.
them as you explain it. And
right.
then I don't understand the terminology or the vocabulary or the like how this is being taught. It was like, I know how to get the answer, but I don't know what your teacher's talking about to help you
Right.
get the answer the way she or he wants you to get it. And it
Right.
was, oh, it was the worst.
Right.
And we saw it in our college students who just like couldn't pay attention. And the social stuff was so bad. They couldn't talk to each
Yeah.
other. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
could not talk to each other for it's finally like, and then the NCAA gave everybody an extra year. So like the common language for among us and what I do is like, finally, this is the last year of the COVID kids, which is the last year of the automatic extra year. So the
Right.
5 year kids are finally coming. I was like, we might have a 4 year college athlete again who like just
Yeah.
graduates and goes on with their life after 4 years instead of being here what seems like forever
Yeah.
Right.
doing God knows what because they have to be enrolled in something, but they're long over school 3 years ago. But they're
Yeah.
27 years old and they got an eighth year of eligibility and they're still here.
Yeah, Georgia won their national championships. I think Stetson Bennett was like 25.
Yeah.
It's like our quarterback was 25 years old in college, but it was because he had that COVID
Uh-huh.
year and a redshirt year. Just like, yeah, I'm just glad it's back. It seems more normal this year than
Mm-hmm.
ever, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it's back to that state, man, because it was rough there. We lost a lot of teachers too
Oh, I
in
bet.
that melee. Like a lot retired early because there's like, forget
Yep.
this. And then also just some that moved to like private schools that went back before
Yeah.
we did, because that was the thing. A lot of the private schools went back in person way before the public
Mm-hmm.
schools did. But I think we're in a good spot now. Like it feels good. Like it feels like it did before 2020.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll just continue in that direction. I mean, you never know what's down the road, but knock on wood. I think this is wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is
See.
your head made of wood, Pete?
Yep. Yep. Mine is. Yep. There it is.
I
Yep.
had to check out the table under here. Wasn't sure we were rocking,
Yep.
but
Yep. I got a ping pong table. I'm doing that. Yep. There it is.
go. Used to have a ping pong table. Then we became not fun. We had the ping pong table back in the ding dong ditching days, man.
Oh, man.
That's when it all
We go
started going
together
downhill. I know.
Wish we were
after
in
the
the good old
bikini
days.
mama left the neighborhood.
I know, man. Took all the fun with her, man.
That's right.
I wonder what that woman's name was. We never learned it. Just called her Bikini Mama. Not to her face. I don't know if we ever even had a conversation with her.
Well, you
But
didn't say at the door, so.
There's ways you could find out.
oh, let's go.
You just look up the assessor's record for the property, and it should have the owner's name on it, and that's public information.
Kevin's a sandwich inspector.
Hey,
Yes. My work car says sandwich assessing unit, and I love parking it like right in front of the deli, just because it makes
that's
me laugh.
I'm here on government business.
I need to assess your sandwich.
I need some extra turkey.
Yes.
That is amazing. Dude, good job. Wait, so there's a town called Sandwich
Yep, Sandwich, Massachusetts. There's
On
also
the
a
Cape,
sandwich
on Cape
Yep.
Cod.
Yes.
on Cape
There's
Cod.
also a Sandwich,
Cape
Maine
Cod an
as
island?
well. It's a peninsula.
Peninsula. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Is no. Yeah, is Jaws based at Cape Cod?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The island of, is there really an Amity Island?
No. We have
That's just made up.
Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard are the two islands.
Dude, my tradition is every year when we take down, I call it killing Christmas, when we take down all the Christmas decorations.
Mm.
I started this tradition years ago, but I watch Jaws while I do it. For some reason, it's like comforting to me as I'm
That's awesome.
removing all of the cheer around the house and just
Yep.
watching Jaws on the TV at the same time just comforts me for some reason.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, a lot of times around here they'll do like they'll bring out big screens and stuff like that, like projectors and stuff, and they'll actually like play it like down on the beach.
It's awful.
And
At the beach.
yeah, so like you can actually like be floating like on an inner tube like out in the ocean like watching the movie.
That's awesome.
It's
It's the
awesome.
immersive experience.
Yep.
They do that at pools around here. They call it the dive-in theater. Like you watch a movie while you're in the pool
That's
kind of
cool.
deal. Yeah. I remember watching Napoleon Dynamite one time at a dive-in theater.
We
Nice.
did that with the Sharknado movies.
Oh, that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah,
Classics.
that was fun.
Classics.
There's actually if you're a fan of like Mystery Science Theater and stuff like that, they moved on to a new project called Riff Tracks, and they did a Riff Tracks for Jaws, so you can watch Jaws with like a Mystery Science Theater, like all the jokes going along with it. Oh, it's so good.
Dude, that's awesome. Where do you find that at?
It's just on rifftracks.com, and like you just download an MP3 and like you can sync it up to the movie. So you just kind of like hit play on your phone. I think they have an app as well.
Yeah.
So like if you've bought it from them, you can fire up the app and basically hit play, and it'll like
That's awesome.
listen for like an audio cue, and then it'll sync it up automatically and play it for you.
That's amazing.
Dark side of the moon situation.
Living in the future, guys.
Yeah, or if you're a giant nerd like me, you rip the video and the audio and merge it together and burn your own DVD.
That's amazing.
That's Tracks with an X.
Yes.
Tracks. So Riff Tracks and Man Alive. These are my 2 assignments for
there you go.
For homework.
Yeah.
And we're going to create new flags as well, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
That's Brock's homework.
Yep. Well, he already posted the I was
Brock
buying
has
milk.
a new one for you. Yeah. I was buying
milk. Oh, did he?
Did you see that in the chat? He texted us.
How do I get back to the chat? Hold on. All right. Hold on. Here it is. There's the chat. Okay, I screenshotted that. That's good.
There you go.
Dude, he is on this thing. He's gonna, next time you guys go to Furnace Fest, people are gonna be like, "Aren't you the flag guy?"
That's right. He's gonna change his brand. New year, new.
He's gonna have his new. Yep.
Yeah.
Forget albums, man.
Oh, so one story that was in the documentary was when you were in the basement of some guy's house, and he was like, "Oh
my gosh,"
about speaking in tongues, dude. The first thing that popped into my mind, and I've told this story on the podcast, was where it was, I think somebody was filling in for you on guitar, and it was like their first show with you. So we played a show where I think our drummer couldn't make it, so our guitar player shifted over to drums, and we got some guy that my wife worked with at Sam Goody to come play guitar for us. And we're like, hey, we're playing a show. We're just gonna do, because we're filling in, like we've got people moving around and everything, and you're coming in. We're just going to do like MXPX covers, Goaty Hook covers, Slick Shoes, stuff like that. He's like, cool, I know all those bands. Wasn't a Christian, but like, he's like, it's good music. I like the Tooth and Nail stuff. So we go to play this show at a youth group. There's nobody there. Like, it's like a handful of adults and, like the gray hairs, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And the youth pastor. And I'm like, this is weird. It's like 20 minutes before the show's starting, and there's literally nobody other than like us and like our girlfriends. And we found out later that there was a huge like multi-church youth event down the street from this place that was going on at the same time. So like everybody was over there, nobody came to this. And we're like, all right, we're just gonna play and we're gonna get out of here. Like, this is so weird. And so we're playing, and we're like starting to pack up, and they're like, oh no, you got to stay for like the message. And we're like, all right, fine. Youth leader gets up on stage, and he's talking and going on and on about whatever, and he starts to he takes off his sweatshirt, and he's talking and talking, and he starts to unbutton it. He's got a button-down shirt on. He's unbuttoning his shirt. He takes that off. He's got a t-shirt on under that. And we're like, okay. Little weird, but whatever. And then he's talking, and he takes off the t-shirt, and he's got, like a what's Reese call it? A spousal provoker shirt?
A spousal provoker.
And we're like, what's going on? And he's talking. And then he starts to take his pants off, and he's got shorts on underneath. But we're like, what the fuck is going on? And, we've got this kid who, he's not a Christian.
Yeah.
He's first show with us, and he's looking at us like, what did I get myself into? And like, we were kind of hoping he would like stay on so we'd have a second guitarist. And like, man, it was just.
Did he stop at the special provocal shirt and shorts?
Yeah, like someone came up and basically like one of the other like the elders at the church came up and was like, no, yeah, we're just gonna wrap this up now. And like, I don't even remember what he was talking about, but something about like
he didn't
shedding
get to
off.
Conclude. Yeah.
Right.
Didn't make his point. He got cut off early.
He was almost there, man.
Yeah, but it was something about like revealing your true self or like shedding off something. I don't remember what it was.
Bet you were leaving the sin that entangles you behind. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a Joseph Potiphar's wife situation.
Could have been.
There's a lot of opportunities for this sermon.
That is so weird.
And was it angular?
Yeah, did it look like a bison?
Sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
But yeah, no, that was just like one of the weirdest shows that we ever played. And it was, hearing that story about like, oh, you got to speak in tongues. And it's just like, that was all I could think of was just this bizarre situation.
Yeah, some of those church shows got so weird sometimes, man. Like you never knew what you're gonna get into. But yeah, dude, I'm glad he stopped with the shorts though.
Yeah.
He could have saw some might have saw some buffalo angle, man.
Right.
Yep, a little angular. Yep.
A little angular buffalo. That would have been horrendous.
It's only appropriate in the silhouette.
The silhouette only. The classic ones, Well, fellas, I think I'm gonna hit the hay, man.
Yeah.
This has been really fun. Dude, we've been talking for over 3 hours.
Yeah, thanks for all your time, man.
It's been fun.
It was really generous of you.
Yeah, it didn't seem like we'd been talking that long at all, man. It's like,
I know.
Kind of good conversation, man. Really great stuff. I don't want to give you guys big heads, but I might go back and listen to this, man.
Oh,
might be
that's
the first
all we need to
podcast.
know.
There you go. Might be the first one I actually go back and listen to.
Oh, that's great.
You get
Man.
most likely to listen to this episode. That's
Oh,
sure.
Yes.
Superlative.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Ours is most likely to be the first one that Jeff will listen to back again. All right, I love it.
Yes. Let's go.
I'm gonna be in Savannah, so I'm gonna hit you. I'll send
Yeah,
you a
hit me
DM
up,
or
man, for
something.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I would love to connect and maybe just grab a beer or something, man, and hang out.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But yeah, I'll show you some cool spots. There's a lot of cool places in Savannah, man. It's a great town, man. Love this freaking city. But I appreciate it, guys. And this was a ton of fun, man. I sincerely mean it.
We'll be sure to bug Chad and try and get you guys
yeah.
at Furnace Fest for an album playthrough. And yeah,
we're all going back, so we'll be there.
Yeah, make sure you get Brock on it. He's the most famous one. So get him on there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And if we can manage to, get it recorded and then you can put it out and then you've got a live album that captures the energy. There you go.
We're on it. We got
That's
you.
awesome,
You're going places, kid.
Go to bed now.
Exactly.
That's where I'm going
to. Much, man. It was so much fun, man. So much fun.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, dude.
Thanks.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to do this. I'll just stand here. Oh, there it is. Bye, guys.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was a blast.
That was crazy fun.
Holy crap, that was fun.
This was a fun night. See you guys.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.